Then there was something on a question on the Council of Light. I keep getting archons, that those are, the angels are archons, Council of Light is archons, archangels, archons, all of these beings are archons somehow. Maybe not all of them, but it seems a huge majority is an archon. Why did you have more dreams as a kid? When you were a child, it was so easy to be a firefighter one day, a doctor the next day, a pet sitter, and you had all these dreams and ambitions for your life because you were not as dangerous then, and they don't have to take away your inspiration yet as a child. But no matter what, you were still a targeted individual. I want to make a different video on targeted individuals because we're running out of time, and I don't want to make this video super long. I want to keep them a little bit shorter. No matter what, though, being a targeted individual just means there's something on you where, it could be in the physical that they actually know you're a targeted individual, right? Like a white eyebrow. That's a very clear sign you might be a targeted individual. For others, it's just an energetic something that you're a targeted individual. Now, I actually want to talk about my white eyebrow in a separate video because it's not just being a targeted individual. There's also more that goes into that, but it definitely has to do with that. And I don't have any issues with my white eyebrow. I've actually come across people who also have white eyebrows. So got to analyze how much of their soul is in their body, actually. Watching, observing, eyes are on you, having something on your body so that they can better see you from the crowd. I had a person tell me I was kissed by so I had a psychic tell me, you have your white eyebrow because you were kissed by the angels. She was like an angel card reader, and that's cool. You know my opinion on angel card readers at this point, I believe. But then analyzing it now, what she literally meant to say, you were kissed by the archons, because the angels are the archons in that sense. Not all angels, but a lot of them. Meaning the archons put this thing on me to show that I'm a targeted individual, basically. And that's another thing that's coming up. And I'm going to discuss it a little bit in the next video. People don't realize that we're targeted from the moment we come here, like when people all of a sudden discover, let's just say New Age econs. And I don't even want to always label it New Age, but for the lack of a better term, this false spiritual community that is called New Age. When people come into that and they discover, I have an intuition, I can give angel card readings, I can give oracle card, like all of these things, I can give advice to people, all of that. And then all of a sudden they fall off that rocker and they become like very, very damaged through it and have like thoughts to harm themselves and everything. That just doesn't happen with people who are in that community and getting away from it. That happens to people who from day one are targeted. I know people who have those thoughts from a teenage way on or from a very young age on. It's not just that fake, false, high spiritual community that gives you those thoughts. When you have those dots, which I have a video on that too, how it's a program, how they're trying to get these key players out of the matrix because they're trying to make you exit yourself kind of out of this matrix game. You're only as powerful as you are in here. You can't do much from the outside. You can't do much. You have to be in this game and play in this game to really do something. And so the entire thing of mass meditations, complacency, being a sheep following the masses has a lot to do with robbing you of your own energy and power and you not seeing that because you think you're doing something good by doing it. But you need to take back your power. And that's really what all these videos are about too. And I hope some people see it that way, at least. I know for others, it might take forever to see it that way. And others are never going to see it that way because they're so deep in that cult-like mentality, right? No matter if it's New Age or religion or whatever. So we are targeted from the moment we come here. And the targeting looks similar, but different in many ways. Usually it often goes through abusive parents, abusive siblings, abusive friends around us in the neighborhood, being bullied from an early age on. And oftentimes it also goes through being bullied in school or having like these, not as many opportunities as we should, right? All of a sudden we get like an F in arts and painting because the teacher hates us, like just as an example, or, somehow we rub people the wrong way with our energy. And so the robotoids around us, the soulless being around us are already so triggered by our energy that they already kind of, pick on us from an early age on. And then we're so wounded or traumatized, and if we don't work through that, eventually we will have to in this life. But if we don't work through it, we keep going from like one false savior mentality to the next. So religion is a huge one, where people think they found their Jesus or God or whatever, and they have to pray to them every day, or go to church every week or every month or whatever. Which the most intense psychic attacks do happen in church-like settings. I just want to put that out there too. I have videos on that, how I was psychically attacked during the Easter holidays, when I actually did someone a favor and went to their church, and I came out and I had to pull like an entire serpent out of my energy body because the pastor had kind of evoked this entity, and of course it landed inside me and a few others. So yeah, the most psychic attacks, the most intense ones, can happen in church-like settings, especially if it is connected to the Vatican as well. The Vatican is like the most dangerous institution out there, in my opinion. Every time I do talk about it, there's something happening where I know they're throwing it at me. And they're also happening in the New Age, as you can see. I do have to say, the more followers these people have, like I was attacked viciously, not by people in the chat or whatever necessarily, but like energetically, I was almost like flat out lying around for not all day long lying around, but I was flat out for like almost 2 days energetically after the Lori Ladd video. So I already posted in my Telegram group how the night before I was experiencing psychic attacks before I was even airing the video. And I don't even put that preview up until a few hours before, because I can already feel it coming. The same with the other 2 videos that I already put out. So the night before I was even airing it, somehow they knew I was going to do that, and psychic attacks came through. This is with the latest one, the Lori Ladd one, and she has more followers than the other 2 that are reviewed. And then right after that, like the 2 days up until now, it's been very hard to focus on anything. I had to get so much done because I want to take time off and all of that. So hard to focus on recording. Every time I wanted to record a video, I had to do it at least 5 times because there was some form of distraction coming through. There was distractions mentally coming through, like really the bombardment, and I haven't felt it in such an intense way since I had the mold experience that I want to talk about in a different video too. But I know it's AI that they're throwing at me. Whether or not these people are aware that it's happening doesn't really matter. Like I'm not sure if LL is really aware of that happening or not. I'm not sure they're really aware of a whole lot, to be honest with you, especially after reviewing her stuff. But it's really the AI that's around them that's attacking everyone who's kind of standing up against it,
So if we are souls being brought in so that they can sell us or do whatever they want with us, maybe we do fight a battle our whole lives, like Ginger said in the round table video we did, where we just spend our life after life trying to prevent our soul from getting stolen or sold. When we go through that reincarnation cycle, maybe this is why a lot of us don't feel drawn to astral travel, because it makes us more vulnerable. Okay, so hopefully this is making sense. So, because I wrote it this morning before I went to work. So when new souls come in, they let them be born and then they track them. Or is this a closed system? That's my question. And they don't want any of us to, that's why they don't want any of us to escape, because they only have so many souls. Or do they have a new supply coming in besides the reincarnated souls? But it makes me wonder if it's a closed system, because there's such a heavy lockdown on the reincarnation cycle and closing gates and not letting anybody out. So when you die and they haven't been able to grab your soul, they trap you in the reincarnation cycle, put you back into a body, and that is why they know you're coming in. So when they've grabbed you, you're a targeted individual. So targeted individuals, they know you're coming in. You're targeted before birth. So targeted individuals, I think, are people that have woke up to this whole process and they know about it. So they grab them before they can escape. You know, they don't go towards the light or whatever. I think I talk about this later. Maybe they don't go towards the light or whatever. So they got to figure out how to grab them, mind wipe them. And then they target these people. So they know that you're coming in. I was told this about myself, that I was a targeted individual, and they knew I was coming in. So they target you before birth so they can keep an eye on you. So if they're the ones sending you back in to be reincarnated into another body, they're already tracking you. So they know what body you're going into. They know everything. And then depending on this particular sperm and egg meeting is what kind of body gets created. So are they controlling who gets attracted to each other so that they can get a specific body type at a certain time for your soul to go into? Because I think as we get reincarnated over and over, we look similar in every life. So it's like they're picking two people that will get pretty close to having the DNA necessary to create a body, a similar body. So anyway, they and then once you're born, they make a clone of you, or clones, because your soul consciousness spark has now imprinted on that android body you're born into. So that android body, I started calling it the original body, and then now you have clones as well. So you're a targeted individual, they track you, they know where you're going, where you're going to be born and when. And then when you're born, they make clones of you so that it can be an exact match to your DNA, an exact replica. Let's switch pictures here to more creepy clone pictures. Okay. Boy, sorry, I wrote this and it's just a jumble, but I think it's going to make sense as you listen. So you've imprinted now, your soul has imprinted on that android body you're being born into. And you have memories of all the other android bodies you've occupied, which are past lives. You are imprinting on that particular structure and makeup, and your soul enters in because your soul might have influence on the DNA and genes of those two android parents' bodies. So certain characteristics of your soul pull forth dominant genes so that you'll look the same, or what your soul is used to looking like. So this is why people look similar from lifetime to lifetime. So those characteristics get pulled from the DNA, like brown eyes, long face, shape, or whatever. And then, or they get it as close as possible. That's why you see the celebrities with these pictures where they look the same. Of course, that could be a clone thing, but all right. So I inserted notes in here. So within the notes, psychic ability is not necessarily inherited through the family. It's just a soul that has remembered in past lives what is really going on here, and becomes the targeted individual. Okay. So basically the parents are chosen to get you looking as close as possible to what the soul imprint looks like, or what the soul's used to looking like. And so the soul has another body that is different from the other ones it has incarnated it into in the past. It's going into a unique mixture, so they have to clone that. So I'm kind of repeating what I just said. And all they need is your DNA to do that. If you're targeted, then they're already tracking you, so it's not hard for them to get a hold of your DNA. They clone that, and now they can tie your soul to those clone bodies because you are imprinted on this specific body for this lifetime. So you're imprinted on the original body, and then they can tie you now to all the clone bodies of you. So if they make an exact replica, because it's exact, they can put your consciousness into a clone body, and then you're just an empty shell walking around. So your consciousness can switch around into these clone bodies and then back to the original body. Okay, so I feel like I'm getting attacked right now. So I would say we're on to something here.
I think that this is an inverted reality. So much of the fallen operate, much of the fallen forces operate here for the most part, I think. And then you do have some that penetrate the veils and operate on behalf of what is a benevolent evolution.
And penetrate the veil. That's the right expression. What do you think there is really hiding behind the veil? That on the other side of the veil. What according to you?
Yeah. What is the veil?
Yeah.
Yeah, the veil alone. I mean, even in the Gnostic scriptures, they talk about the veil. I think that's above the Ogdod, and there's actually a veil that covers the upper from the lower, and the eternal realms versus the realms of the demiurge, which we're in, which is the false matrix reality. So it's really getting through. And a lot of times I think our prayers can't be heard because there's literally a veil, and that it's hard to be heard by the higher unless you have a deeper connection. And so there is an upper and a lower, and there is a veil. And so even, I think, good ones coming through the veil, they may come through at a risk, because we are in territory here that is under the demiurgic.
They do come through as a risk. And I'm one of those, because I have memory of coming in through the back door. And it was like, it was a dangerous operation to even get in. So
yeah,
those of my experience that have been benevolent have all stated the same thing, that they had to be very cautious because this was one of the most dangerous territories, and the fact that they managed to get through, they were being hunted. Like,
yes,
technology here and the way that the forces operate, they know exactly when there's an intruder.
Yeah.
And the hunting begins, right? So my experiences with those, including Delirian, right, that you remember, Evie, I tell her.
Yes. You might want to talk about the one who warned you, and I don't know if you want to talk about that, but Delirians are actually key in a lot of people's experiences who were the originals who were here when the invasion took place to split us, you know, and the goddesses.
I didn't know about Delirians at that point when I met him, because when he introduced himself, that's when I learned about Delirians, because he said he was a Lyrian. And he could only meet me for a brief moment in time. He could only be here for so long, because if he stayed too long, he would probably be killed. So he was freaking out. Like, he gave me he was the one that told me a lot about what is really going on in terms of the artificial nature of everything. In the takeover, he was the one also that said that they hunt those that penetrate the veil and that are here, and they'll kill them if they can. So he told me, he said many of theirs don't make it. There's a limited window that they can come in and do what they need to do, which he was very frustrated, because I was so freaked out at the time. I was having so many experiences that I didn't want to really even meet him, because I knew he was an alien. It was very apparent. He had orange skin, you know, his hair was
Oranges,
he had
black and matted, and
it was black and thick and weird, and his ears were pointed. Trying to look like he was normal, wearing like this trench coat and a hat, and it was all so apparent. I thought, you know what, I just can't handle this anymore. So the poor Lyrian is following me around just so that he could sit me down for, you know, a talk to tell me what he came to tell me, because he's like, you know, we came in for you, like, can you just give us? And I was no, and then I finally did give him, and then of course what he told me was just in many ways confirmation of things that are very terrifying.
So did he communicate with you telepathically, or?
No, he met me. I mean, they're telepathic, but they also speak. So I said, you want to meet me? Because he was following me around, and it was finally, I had to go, okay, what? And he's like, I need to sit down with you. I said, fine, you want to talk to me? We talk in a cafe. So we were in a cafe in a public place, and he was talking to me like word for word, because they learn, whatever language they want to. Most of all of these beings have technology where they download all the languages. It's not a big deal for them. But yeah, they're mostly, and they can be telepathic, but they also know what you're going through at the time. So when they make any kind of conversation, or when they make contact with you, they know what your state is. They know if you're hyper sensitive, or if you have PTSD. They know all of these things. So he was very he was trying to be as gentle as possible, considering what I was experiencing at the time. And so I sat down with him, and then I told him, I go, you make a lousy human. You look alien, like you have orange skin. And that's how I learned about the Lyrian.
One of the reasons people get abducted, excuse me, one of the reasons people get targeted is because they were out there before they got here causing trouble, kicking ass, playing the big game, being a player in the big game, and duking it out with the bad boys, and pissing people off, pissing beings off, pissing reptilians off, and mantis beings, and secret space program beings, and just all kinds of crazy shit out there in the multiverse, out there in the greater reality, I have to call it. So they grab us up. This is the prison planet Earth scenario. There's other scenarios. It's not a prison planet for everybody. However, some of you guys got caught. Like you're out there blowing shit up or sabotaging something, or you're in a spacecraft and you're the gunner, or doesn't matter what you were doing out there. Your spacecraft, the entire thing can get captured, and the consciousness sucked right out of the body, or they fucking vaporize your ship, right? And then you're out there going, what just happened? And it get all sucked up and what did just happen? And then next thing you know, you're waking up in a fucking baby body, about 5 years old, going, or 3 years old, 2 years old, first memory. What happened? And they're keeping an eye on you. Yeah. That's the targeted part. And the other part was the forced incarnation part. This is the targeted part. They keep an eye on that dude. Got to keep an eye on that girl there. She's a troublemaker, man. She's got a big mouth. Yeah. She's going to wake too many people up if she gets over her issues. So they overwhelm us with issues that no other reason for your issue except as a distraction, so that you can't get down to work on your spiritual work like you would like to, and get out there and get it said and get it done, right? So they target people, and that's one of the reasons they target people. And what else? Then they got handlers. That's messed up stuff, man. A handler is oftentimes, most of the time, the kind we deal with a lot, is the incorporeal handler. They're running around in the astral, or the non-physical, the etheric realm. Doesn't matter what you call that frequency range, outside of the normal range of human perception. And they're out there handling us by messing with our thoughts and our feelings. They can project thoughts in our head. They can make us afraid. They can cause things to happen in our environment that is messing us up. What the hell? Or it's causing physical issues or emotional or relationship issues. And they can even, the handler handling you, can get into the head space of someone else, a human being, in your relationships, in your family, your work, whatever, neighbors. And the handler can mess with another human being, and out of that other human being's mouth will come some crap that stirs your shit up, or gets you to do one thing or behave this way or do that. And it's all in an effort to keep you distracted from waking up and understanding what happened to you, who did it, why. And so then you'll even wake up further and get back to work doing that thing you do. And some people are done playing the game, in this world, in this realm, in this density, and in the greater reality, the higher expanded universe, what some people will call fourth density, fifth density, or higher frequencies. It doesn't matter what you call them, a bunch of freaking labels, but beyond human perception, physical human perception, there's the greater realities. And a lot of people, a lot of you are playing out there, or would be playing out there, and some of you will get back to work, so to speak, and play that game of awakening, enlightenment, liberation of spirit, and all that. And some of you, and me, we're done, don't want to play, completely change the game and go off and do something completely different. So you're not engaged in that big conflict of spirit and awakening versus, and liberation versus domination and control. So you can move out of that game, because that too is just a game. Because above that, we're just like, doo-doo-doo, oh, there's a game. And we move into, and we assume the beingness of a great liberator of consciousness. And that becomes our identity even before we are born into physical reality. And so then we get born into physical reality, we forget what we were, and now we become something else. And we try to wake up to what we were, and what we were isn't even really what we are. But, it's the game within a game within a game, a bubble within a bubble, a simulation within a simulation, a reality within a reality. It's wild and crazy, man. It's kind of fun. But yeah. You're feeling like a targeted individual. There's probably a reason why. And, I'm not the psychic around here, but Agvila is. And she can look into that stuff. She helps people, they think they're targeted. Yeah, she can see it clear as a bell. What you were doing, what kind of mischief, what kind of shit you were getting into, and who were you messing with, and who'd you piss off, and then how'd you end up here? How'd you end up here? Huh? Did you get caught? Did you get forced? Did you get deceived by the archons, bullshit artists? Or did you choose to come here? Huh? Agvila can see that stuff. That between life stuff, what you up to, and your past lives too. That's crazy. I don't know how she does it. I mean, I do know how she does it because I've been doing it with her for so long. But I can kind of do it a little bit, but not like her, man. She sees that stuff crystal clear. And she can step right into it. So anyway, targeted individuals. Man, there's so many agencies and groups that are targeted us. There's the secret space program guys that nab people and put them in the secret space program for 20 years, send them back in time in a clone body, and now they're in a clone body and they're a little baby, and you're like, what the hell? What's going on? You live a parallel life to the other one, and there's bleed through, and these guys that are running these operations do not want you waking up or remembering your twinning back in an alternate reality. No, don't do that. No. So you're targeted into, or keeping an eye on you to keep you dumbed down, ignorant, and stupid. So yeah, there's that. And then there's the love bite thing. That's a fun one. I first learned about that from Eve Lorgen. She wrote the book, literally, Alien Love Bite. And these are just freaking ETs. And they abduct people. They do it. They can do it in the astral too, but they will literally abduct your human physical body, float it out the apartment, fucking window on the 17th floor, and into the ship you go, along with your love interest, your twin flame, or whatever you want to call it. But what they do, what they can do, and then they will, you were targeted for that. That happens, and then you're still a target of their research, experiment, or program, you see. So you become, if you're an alien love bite victim, you are targeted by these kind of ETs. Now these kind of ETs, they're often the Greys and the reptilian gang, and what they do is they abduct you physically, and they abduct your love interest, the one that in this life you're just so in love with this guy, this girl, and it's fun for a while, and then okay, back to the ship. You're on the ship. They start implanting you, programming your heart energy and your love energy and your everything, as well as your love interest. So your love interest is a trigger for your stuff. So you see this guy or this gal in real life, and it's like, and it's really great for a while, and that's the hook, right? They want to get you all, oh, you're so in love. It's freaking great, man. Oh, yeah. And then they're doing it so they can trigger you into painful emotion. They're going to suck the Lucia right out of your space, man. You become a loosh crop. You're a loosh farm, man. It's like, man, and they're just going to suck the energy out of you, and you're going to be in such a turmoil with your love interest. And the way they do it is they can turn off your love interest. Now, they can turn them off. They can, let's say you're a girl, and it's a guy, and he's just so in love with you, and you love him, and then one day, he's turned off. He is not interested. What's wrong with you? The ETs, the aliens, Greys, often switch off his heart energy, and now that just messes you up, right? Or it could be the other way around. Yeah. And they usually will target the targeted individuals. The main target is the one they want to really cause emotional pain and turmoil, and then they got chump here is going to be the guy that stirs your shit up, or the girl that stirs your shit up, and they're not so important as you, and you're the targeted one. And it's oftentimes because of your psychic abilities. You got these paranormal psychic phenomena, things you can do, and those that are targeting you, the ETs that are going to keep you in an emotional turmoil, yeah, they want your loosh, but they also want to keep you emotionally involved and sidetracked and engaged in this huge emotional trauma and distraction so that you can't get your shit together and get on with your life, which is probably something to do with contributions to humanity, awakening people, because you got your psychic abilities and you kind of know, or you would know what the hell was going on if they'd give you any fucking relief. You see how that works? Yeah, targeted.